everybody. And 3 cheers for the red, white, and blue. And this is Angel number 279204963. And this is Memorial Day. And we remember those that we'll never see again. We remember Marlin, we remember Martin, we'll remember the neighbor cat, we'll remember all those we will never see again. A New York City boy told somebody up in a small town in New York that he went to PS school, PS 81. And Central New Yorker says, what's PS stand for? And the New York City boy said, poop students. And Joe said, this hotel is going to close. And his friend says, is it a welfare hotel? And Joe said, no, it's a farewell hotel. And I remember when Franklin went to buy a T-bill, and he took the money out of savings and to get a check for the Federal Reserve Bank to buy the T-bill. And I remember the clerk at the bank made out the check to the Federal Reverse Bank. And 3 ropes were walking down the street. And they went into a restaurant to have dinner. And the head waiter said, aren't you ropes? We don't serve ropes in here. You will have to leave. So the ropes were out on the sidewalk, and one rope got very angry. So he tied himself into a knot, and he frazzled his other end. And he went into the restaurant, and he's sitting down and he's ordering, and the head waiter says, wait a minute, aren't you a rope? And he said, I'm afraid not. First report on crooked judges and corrupt lawyers is Giacomo, William J. Giacomo. Glendora got out her record on William J. Giacomo. And it says, and here's another misspelling, Franklin is spelled with an I. And it says Samuel J. Pierce, City Marshal, New Rochelle City Court. Well, this is a recuse court. Notice herein is a nullity. It has no effect because the New Rochelle City Court is recused. It is bogus as to is this entire case. And so we will add Samuel J. Pierce to the list of defendants therein when we sue all of these people. The case against Casari and Scher and Giacomo and Casari's family and Rice and the court officer is still in the United States District Court, District of Delaware. It has not been dismissed, and it is still before the judge, McKelvey. And so we're going to file another lawsuit against these crooks. That would be Ishvan Casari, Barone, Nicholas P. Barone, Scher, Rice, 2 judges in New Rochelle City Court, the clerk at the New Rochelle City Court, Generoso, and the people who work for him, and Francis S. Nixoli, the Chief Administrative Judge for the County of Westchester, State of New York, and his law clerk, Tommy Berg, and Giacomo, the William J., a so-called judge in the village of Fort Chester, and Edward A. Fry. It's hard to figure out what his relationship is, but he's standing in for Know Nothing Barone. correcting Barone's mistakes. And so that lawsuit will be filed against them. And it says that the city marshal of New Rochelle on Thursday, May 18th, 2000 at 10 a.m., well, that's an illegal notice. He says, I suggest that you contact me immediately. And Glendora says, we suggest that you get in touch with us timely. We get a notice the day before that he's coming to move out all of the furniture and put it out on the tree belt the next day. And Glendora says, we still have legal possession of the premises, and you will be sued along with the other 10 cheaters. Shame on you. This is to William J. Pierce. Samuel J. Pierce. And this was dated May the 21st by Glendora in New Rochelle, and we are the new Thomas Paines of New Rochelle. Yours in truth, Glendora and Franklin. Now we go through his notice, which is a bogus notice. It really has no standing at all. And by order of Judge William Giacomo, well, that was a defective order, and it's totally unqualified. It's no day in court, no notice, no hearing, no trial. Giacomo violates the United States of America and the state of New York, the 5th and 14th Amendments, and he is a criminal. When the city marshal does place such property upon the public street, you are hereby directed to have same removed from said public street. And Glendora says this is all a hoax, a sham, and a travesty, and has no reality at all, and it's barbarian, and it's an anachronism, and it's a disgrace to the United States of America, and you have a lot to do before God. The landlord has to pay the first month's rent on the storage, on everything that's taken out of the apartment. And the whole thing is Pontius Pilate. Glendora says to Giacomo, confess, repent, and atone. And it says that this is in accordance with a city ordinance so-and-so, but it's not in accordance with the 4th Amendment and the 14th Amendment and the 5th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. And Glendora says to Pierce and to the Director of Public Works, whose signature, this is not a legal notice because he doesn't sign it. He just has his initials, so we don't know who the head of the Department of Public Works is. So Glendora says, you need God. Notice to the owner of dispossessed Americanism. It isn't signed, there's no signature. And over here is Giacomo didn't use either Barone's judgment, that judgment form, and nor did Giacomo use Edward T. Fry's judgment form. He went and he got a Blumberg form. This is how bad those people are. They went and they got a Blumberg form. And all of the lies and all of the cheats that Giacomo pulls off, Glendora notes in this Blumberg form. And it isn't dated, and it's another defect, and the paper is illegal, it's null and void, and it's a nullity. And we will picket Giacomo and bring him to court to be dealt with by the law and justice. And the total lie count is 60 since Giacomo. Giacomo provides the document we need to sue him. He provided no other documents. Giacomo is a cheat, a liar, and a poseur, along with Casari, his family, Barone, Cher, Rice, Generoso, Fry, and the court officer. What a nasty record of yourselves you have made before the public. And Glendora says, we evicted Casari. We evicted Hungarian Casari, the foreigner who must be deported for violating American laws. We evicted Kasari on March the 20th. We have a huge apartment, 1,100 feet square. The living room is 14 by 14. The dining room is 14 by 14. The kitchen is huge with 22 cabinets. We have 2 real bedrooms, one 14 by 12, the other 10 by 11. A huge front porch, a sun deck, a dishwasher, a self-clean stove, a self-defrost refrigerator, 20 feet of counter space, 3 huge closets in the foyer, 12 feet by 8 feet, the foyer is. And we have 2 huge closets in the bedrooms, and we have 2 working fireplaces. So Kasari was evicted by us on March the 20th. The service list is the Center for Judicial Accountability. Since Giacomo is showing no accountability at all, the Glendora TV audience, that's you. Kasari, Barone, Cher, Rice, Generoso, Kasari's family, Edward T. Fry, Francis Nicolai and Tommy Berg, Giacomo, and the United States District Court in Delaware. They have received all of these papers. It took 4 hours and $6, and the total Kasari hours and dollars is 1,008.25 hours, and that's time $250 an hour. And the post, travel, and print is $2,745.77. Now, not one of them signed this. Not one of them signed this. Under penalty of perjury, I swear I've told the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Preston S. Cher did not sign that. Gail Rice did not sign it. James Generoso did not sign it. Nicholas P. Marone, nor Edward A. Fry. You see, it shows you that they are lying. And Francis X. Nicolai did not sign it. Tommy Berg did not sign it. Ishvan Kasari did not sign it. The United States District Judge Delaware has not dismissed Glendora's lawsuit against Kasari, his family, Cher, Barone, Generoso, court officer. It is still before him, and you are in default. All of these people are in default. And we send them again a notice that Glendora has won, and Franklin, all of the relief that they requested in their March 1st motion to dismiss, since no court decided said motion in 60 days as required by Civil Practice Laws and Rules 2219. So that's it until we go over and picket them, and then until we sue them. Here's a little note to Giacomo. You know you cheated. We know you cheated. God knows you cheated. You sold your soul for a cheap price. You ignored the demand for a Travis hearing. You ignored the demand for proof of service. You have a civil RICO here. You know you acted as a pawn in a dirty deal. Your gangsterhood has gone to federal court, is going to federal court rather. You know you have been caught in a big cheat. Your name is on TV every week in big color graphics. The public knows you. You have disgraced your predecessors, your ancestors, your progeny, your successors. You have flopped. Glendora, May the 21st in the year 2000. Stand by, please. The United States District Court in Los Angeles is another cheater court. The prosaic clerk will not return my calls and will not say who the magistrate is who dismissed the case, and we all know it's illegal for a magistrate to dismiss a case. That's up to has to be a district judge to do that. And so they will not tell us, and both signatures look the same, the signature of the magistrate judge and the signature of the district judge. So, because they know fully well they're going to be sued. And Sunday night, I fell and badly injured this wrist. And so I've been going around with one hand all week, and a lot of things haven't got done. And for another reason, too, that I'm going to tell you, things didn't get done. So on the United States District Court, Los Angeles, the chief judge is Mad Hatter, Terry Hatter, and so I got to get after those people. and get the case out of that court and file it in another court, because the case was not dealt with on its merits, so it has to be filed over again. Eureka vacuum cleaner. They made full restitution. They're going to send a new vacuum. And it's too bad because it's such a good little vacuum. So they're going to send a new one. It's Eureka. And they tried very hard to get in touch with me while I was tied up on another matter I'm going to tell you about. So they get an A+, Eureka. What else? New Orleans. Oh yeah, New Orleans, their 10th cheat. They dismissed the appeal of Werlein's crooked decision, self-interest decision, collusive, bias, prejudice decision that saved the skin of a no-good magistrate named Mark D. Fox and all of his fellow defendants who are no good. And so Werlein dismissed it, and I appealed it in the 5th Circuit, New Orleans, and then they lied that they didn't get my appellant's brief, when the record is very clear that they did. And then when I pointed out that the judge in the 5th Circuit lied, his name is Dennis, James Dennis, when I pointed out that he was lying and cheating and asked for petition en banc, their next lie in the Court of Appeals in New Orleans was to say that they never got the, they got the petition en banc late. We all know that's not true. Why, if I mailed it on the 13th of April, it certainly didn't take until the 26th of April to get there. So that's their cheat number 10. And for reasons stated before, hinted at before, and to be stated in full later, I haven't had time to get back to that court. Let's see, I already told you about Delaware. The United States Court of Appeals for the 2nd Circuit. Okay, here is a T-1080 motion that was written yesterday and will be served on Wednesday. This is their motion form, and it's Glendora versus Omnibus, and the docket number is Omnibus. I have 52 cases in the United States Court of Appeals 2nd Circuit. The appellant is, or the movement is Glendora, Chat with Glendora, Box 416 White Plains, and it says, what is the paper for? And it says that the paper is to vacate robbing Glendora of her right to appeal. And it says the judge or agencies whose order is being appealed, and this is really funny because this is not a district judge, this is a circuit judge, and his name is Ralph K. Winter, and he is the robber, the cheater in this case. He used to be chief judge. He's through. So this is addressed to John Walker, the new chief judge, and John Walker is a relative of the George Bushes. Okay, and it says a brief statement of the relief requested. Stop robbing Glendora of her American's right to appeal. No order to require leave to appeal was ever signed by a judge. Robbing Glendora of her right to appeal has no legal basis and no factual basis, and is signed Glendora on Memorial Day, year 2000 Anno Domini, and Glendora is the plaintiff appellant. And it says here that appellant, it says any previous requests for this, none. Statement of the issues presented by the motion. Appellant, 52 times Glendora, pleads that this court withdraw the requirement for leave to appeal. Glendora has never filed a frivolous lawsuit in her life. Every fight for right has gone straight to the heart of America. She is standing up for the United States of America, and here today, on Memorial Day, we must give thanks to those who sacrificed their lives for what America stands. Robbing Glendora of her right to appeal has been a hoax There has never been an order by 3 judges for the same. There has never been an order by even 1 judge for the same. Requiring quote-unquote leave to appeal has been a cheat for 4 years. Cease and desist. It has no legal basis. It has no factual basis. Every time you do it, you put a crack in the soul of the United States District Court. Second, that odious SA, quote-unquote, meaning sanctions, next to Glendora's name, must be zapped in and of itself. SA, quote-unquote, is actionable. Glendora has told you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and always has. So help her God. Page 4 is the service list and the cost, $3.20 in 3 hours. And page 5, when I filed the, I told you when I filed the Ramos, my reply brief to Ramos's 3,963 lies, I said that I could handle, says Glendora can handle an ordinary lawyer's lies in 15 pages in 10 days, but Ramos is in the extreme. The record cannot be set straight in 15 days, 10 days. Signed Glendora. This is another motion form, and if you look real carefully, you'll see that the motion is granted. So I said thank you. I don't imagine many people do that. I wrote back and I said thank you. Now, here's an order, so-called, a bogus order, from the United States Court of Appeals, second, that on January 14, 1998, this court issued a leave to file sanction against Glendora. See Glendora versus Telecommunications Incorporated. Glendora now applies for leave to file an appeal from a district court judgment dismissing her complaint in Glendora versus Gulf Oil, Danny Chanchuli. You remember that. January 24th, 2000, that was. Now wait, this isn't even a sentence. This is ungrammatical. This is plain ignorant. They should be saying, for lack of subject matter jurisdiction, upon due consideration, it is ordered that said application is denied. And Glendora says, received by Glendora on May the 20th, and memo endorsed by Glendora on May the 27th. 1. What judge said so? Orders have to come from judges, not clerks. 2. What panel of judges said so? In the Second Circuit, you have a panel of judges, not just one judge, you have 3. 3. What are the names of the judges? 4. Where are the signatures? 5. What is the reason that it's dismissed? 6. Glendora requests all of these questions be answered. This is another great fight here on Memorial Day, to sustain the honor of this great country. This paper, written by this court, is a hoax and a cheat. Glendora, chat with Glendora, etc. Folks, I took the 1980 Lincoln to the Bronx to have the finishing touches put on it, and like valve covers and oil lube and filter, and I had a list of about 14 things I wanted done on it. Unfortunately, the people at the garage parked the car on the street, which they shouldn't have done, and on Wednesday, May 17th, the so-called sheriff of New York City came along and imprisoned the car and towed that beautiful, beautiful car away. And they put it down in prison, down on Fordham Road, by the Harlem River, by Route 87. And we thought at first it was stolen, but then we found out that it wasn't. And this happened on Wednesday night, that the car disappeared, and the people at the garage didn't notify me until Saturday. And so I went down to the precinct Saturday and tried to find out as much as I could. And they said they put cars in a pound on Zariga Street in the Bronx. And so we went all the way down there, and the pound was closed. They had moved it up to another tow company's place. And I went up there and I asked if they'd seen it. The young man was very nice. But no, he had not seen it. So I was pretty unhappy Saturday, thinking of that poor car, innocent car, that was towed and put in prison and alone, and wondering if it was all right. And then, so I had to wait until Sunday, and then Monday morning I went down to see the garage, and they found out that it had been taken by the sheriff, and that there was, and to go to Williamsbridge at Westchester Square, the Parking Violations Bureau. And I found out through talking to the Parking Violations Bureau in Brooklyn and all over the place that there were they claimed three tickets that were unpaid, 3 parking tickets unpaid. Well, the point is that I never knew about any such 3 tickets. They said they had notified me by mail, but the record shows that they sent it to an address where we hadn't lived since 1990. These tickets were 1993, 1995, and 1997. I had never been notified. And indeed, those letters had been returned from that old address back to them. So you see, that was not proper and legal notice. And so what they did essentially was to violate the 14th and the 5th Amendment, Constitution of the United States, also the Constitution of New York, in depriving me of my property without due process of law. So I pointed this out to the people at 1400 Williamsbridge, and I went before a judge named Jack Bernstein, and he vacated the 2 tickets. The third one he couldn't vacate because there had been a hearing on it. Well, what they call a hearing was nothing that I never knew anything about. He was nothing I ever knew anything about. He said that I was here and had a hearing. No, I never had a hearing. Then come find out this hearing they're talking about is all by mail, and it's all sent by the at the wrong address. And they're claiming that the address change wasn't given to the Department of Motor Vehicles, but it was, because when they stole the car and put it in prison, impounded it, they sent the notice to the right address, box 416. So the judge forgave those 2 tickets, and that cut the fine down from about $615 down to about $400 and something. And then the sheriff gets into the act, and he wants $45. The tow company is a triple rip-off, $150 to tow a car 8 miles. Okay, that's about $40. And then there's something else in there. And then they want 5% for a poundage fee, and they want $10 a day storage for every day that it's in the prison. So those things come out about $615. Well, the hearing, so we couldn't have any more hearing on that, so we had to appeal that, and it was over 5, 6, 7 years ago, and you're supposed to appeal in 30 days. So we paid the $439.06. We got ripped off for that. We paid it in cash, and then we got all the papers to free up the poor 1980 Lincoln. And I told him when I saw him on Monday that we would be back to rescue him. And we got him out. And he came bouncing out of that parking lot, and he was so happy. And he was just running and perking, and he was just ready to go. Beautifully, running beautifully. And so Thursday I went to the appeals office of the Parking Violations Bureau, and I made out my form to appeal. And of course my defense is what I've told you. Under Title 42 U.S. Code Civil Rights, 1983 and 1985, my civil rights were violated. I was robbed of due process. Robbed of property without equal protection of the law, and without due process, without the benefit of the law. And so I made a very strong case for it, and I handed that in. You have to wait 3 or 4 weeks, and then you get a hearing, and then you come in. And this whole thing has cost us something like 48 hours, and the total bill on it. And then we took the car back to the garage people in the Bronx on Boston Road and Connor Street, and made an appointment when they definitely could fix it, and don't leave it on the street. And they did. They did a lot of things for it. And now they washed it and shined it all up and polished it. I want to talk to you about Rusty Dog down there. Rusty Dog is not happy. He needs a home. So we got to find a home for Rusty Dog. He's a beautiful dog. He's reddish, brownish, and he's got reddish, brownish eyes. He's a really nice dog. We got to get him out of there and get him into a home and help him the way we did Rocky. Okie doke. That's all. Red, white, and blue. And this is angel number 299264963 on Memorial Day. Thinking about those that we will never see again. A little boy in Manhattan was telling a little boy upstate the name of his school, PS 81. The little boy upstate says, "What's PS stand for?" And the little boy in Manhattan said, "Poop students." Joe said to Ed, "This hotel is going to close." And Ed says, "Is it a welfare hotel?" And Joe said, "No, it's a farewell hotel." And Franklin went to the bank to buy a T-bill, and he actually saw the clerk in the bank, the teller in the bank, make out the check, not to the Federal Reserve Bank, but to the Federal Reverse Bank. 3 ropes were walking down the street, and one rope said, "Let's go in and have something to eat." So the 3 ropes went into the restaurant, and they sat down, and they started to order, and the head waiter says, "Wait a second, aren't you ropes? We don't serve ropes in here. You'll have to leave." So out on the sidewalk, one of the ropes got very, very angry. And he says, "He can't do that to me." So he tied himself into a knot he frazzled one of his ends, went back in the restaurant, he's sitting down and he's ordering, and the head waiter says, "Say, aren't you a rope?" And he said, "I'm afraid not." First report up is that too many people are doing bad things and think they're getting away with it until they see their name on TV. Some of these bad people are reported by Americans for Legal Reform. That circuit judges Curse, Jacobs, and Pooler, who order their decisions not to be published in the Federal Reporter. Carl Ancesara nominations to date for the worst judges and lawyers. Jack Solowitz, who will soon be getting out of jail for stealing millions. We understand he wants to team up with Sari Friedman and Leonard Leeds. Again, Richard Cunningham and Taylor Walker for their substance abuse. Leonard Marlowe, who charges $3,000 to $5,000 for divorce mediation when others charge $300 to $500. Grace Moron, Chief Counsel for the Nassau and Suffolk Grievance Committee, who replaced the inept Frank Finnerty for her efforts to protest corrupt, incompetent attorneys in secret hearings. Okay, now this letter, I need a close-up of this. This is a letter from Cablevision from a flunky there named Sulhouse, who is in the so-called legal department. And Glendora says, received by Glendora on May the 19th, 2000, Friday. Memo endorsed by Glendora on May the 21st, Sunday. This is a cheat. Indeed, it is your 94th cheat. This is to Cablevision, James L. Dolan, Charles F. Dolan, Robert Lemley, Charles Former. You failed to answer. This is no answer at all. You, as a corporation doing business in our state of New York, you have to follow the New York State Business Corporation Law. You violated. You have committed some massive crime or crimes that you are so desperate to cover up, you will even break the laws of the state in which you have made your millions. This cop-out by low woman on the totem pole is a nullity. It has no standing and no something. And it is not an answer. You, Charles F. Dolan, James L. Dolan, and Robert S. Lemley have to answer. You cannot hide behind the apron strings of a woman. Shame on you. Glendora will be at Bethsage on May the 23rd, 2000, Tuesday, Anno Domini, to exercise her shareholders' right, Section 624 and Section 721, New York State Business Corporation Law, to see the books, records, and minutes. You had last Wednesday and Thursday to get them ready, and I have 5 days to look at them. I went there on Tuesday, and I made my demand, and they were too afraid, since they had committed some massive, terrible crime. They were too afraid to show up. They wouldn't even appear, so they denied the books, records, and minutes, and so they will be sued. Again. Now, we're up to talking about Bruiser Ken. This is a letter from Legal Aid, Colleen Cassidy, in Glendora and Franklin versus Bruiser Ken. This is the appeal in the Second Circuit of the Crooked Order by Nina Gershon. And this is a motion sent to John Walker, the Chief Judge in the Second Circuit. And the relief requested is this is their motion form, call it a T-1080, to refer all of Glendora and Franklin's papers on the Cassidy and Ramos briefs to our judges. We wrote these papers in response to Cassidy's brief, and we wrote papers in response to Ramos's appellee's brief, and we want the judges to see those papers. And all papers should be referred to our judges. We have 3 judges in the Second Circuit. So do you, if you ever go to the Second Circuit. And it says previous relief requested. The answer is none. We want the judges to know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And always have, so help us God. We therefore took much time, labor, and money to illuminate the facts by annotating Cassidy's excellent appellant's brief for Franklin, Ramos's appellee's brief of lies, and Cassidy's excellent reply brief. We want all of these papers to go before our judges and be read by our judges. To make a just and plenary order, our judges must know the truth of what happened. Under penalty of perjury, we are yours in truth, Glendora and Franklin. And let's see, we certified and sent this to Colleen Cassidy, and we sent it to Navickas and Lynch in the U.S. Attorney's office in Brooklyn, Pierpont Plaza. And we also sent it to Keegan, who's a case manager, and to Cassidy. And that is the matter there. This is from the Portland, Oregon. The Public Access Association out there is not run by a TV company. It's run by a private organization. And they have placed a chat with Glendora on a series basis. I think it's so nice the way they do things, don't you? And then they send you a schedule of when the program's going to be on. It's going to be on every Thursday at 10:30 p.m. That's a good time slot. And then they give you the dates. July, August, and September. That's a good way to run a public access operation. Don't you think? And now we have to tell you what's new on Galgano versus James Dolan. This is from the United States District Court, Eastern District of Missouri, St. Louis, telling Franklin that his affirmation of service, they would like him to sign it again because they don't think that it was an original signature. They think it was a printed signature. And this is on the lawsuit: Lori Galgano, Philip Goldstein, and Glendora, Richard Einhorn, James Burness, Kelly Burness, Zabby, the Public Access Television Association, and E. Rasson Hoskins versus James L. Dolan, Charles F. Dolan, Robert S. Lemley, Charles Former, Cablevision Systems Corporation, Mark Shukin, Brian McNeil, Maurice Cunningham, Robert Callaghy, Satterley, Stevens, Burke, and Burke, Group 1 defendants, Peter I. Bijur, Texaco Incorporated, its Board of Directors, and Tim Miller, Group 2 defendants. And so Franklin signed it in red this time. I think that's a good thing for you to do, folks. When you send a paper to a court, put your signature in red. And so then they can tell it's original signature and they don't have to spit on it. This is the calendar of Robert M. Goldberg versus Cablevision, and that's as to the dispute, does Cablevision have any control over what is commercial and what isn't commercial? And the second question is, was offering a tape at the end of the program, was that commercial? And that was argued in the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit on May the 25th at 10 o'clock in room 506. They have 2 rooms going on now for oral arguments at the United States Court of Appeals. One, the great big fancy room with the TV sets. It's a good idea what they have, folks. All right, so this is a lawyer or a pro se, and here's the 3 judges in front of you, right? And so the people sitting back here, all they see is the back of your head. But they put up 2 great big TV monitors that's taking pictures of the person arguing the case so that you can see the face. Room 506 doesn't have that luxury. Who were the judges on that? Pierre Laval, Robert Sack, and a Richard Goldberg. So Goldberg is before Goldberg. I wish they had got the Judge Minor up in Albany, because he does good things for public access. This is written to Chief Judge Corman of the United States District Court, the Eastern District of New York. That yesterday at 2:30 p.m. a hearing was scheduled on this case, Wacer versus Glenn et al., 97 Civ 4031, U.S. Magistrate Judge Goh. And Goh's courtroom was empty. In her office, Goh said the hearing was being held in her office. Glendora said she wanted to hear it in the courtroom. But she and another watcher, that would be Jackson, went back to the courtroom and nobody came. Glendora asked for a record or an audio tape of the hearing that was held in her Goh's office. A hearing, and the public was denied the hearing it and seeing it. The clerk at Goh's office said that there was no record. See, they're cheating. They're cheating. They're covering up. And Glendora says to Corman, who is now the Chief Judge of the Eastern District of New York, that this is unacceptable in America, and that Goh is stop. And Glendora requests a written report dated White Plains, New York, May 26, 2000, Memorial Day, yours in truth, Glendora. And the service list is you, Glendora TV audience, Center for Judicial Accountability, and Marilyn D. Cole. So next paper coming up is, while I was there, I monitored the courts of the Eastern District of New York, and I will tell you about that in just a short second. This is the new wallpaper, folks, at Lynbrook. It's a light gray, and it's much better than the battleship gray that was there, and it was done very well and very quickly. And the hallway, 2 hallways were papered, and they looked so nice. And they said it was vinyl, and that vinyl is final. So they did a good job, and Lynbrook is no longer a dump. Lindbergh looks pretty good. Okay, so about the Eastern District of New York, at 2:07 p.m. Glendora left the 1980 Lincoln. She went across the park to Cadman Plaza East. At 2:15 p.m. Azraq's courtroom was locked. Nothing was going on. Azraq was on one of her many play days. At 2:18 p.m. The Shrine courtroom was empty, and the Gold courtroom was empty. She has light blue drapes. They're very, very pretty, powder blue, and then she has a royal blue carpet. They look very, very nice. And of course, who paid for that? You did. Do you get the justice that you pay for? Never. I met Jackson, who is a reformer, a law school graduate, who has done a lot to make people know that they're doing wrong and it's got to be corrected. And the librarian was getting a drink of water from the bubbler across the hall, and Block's courtroom had 8 people in it waiting around. There's a lot of waiting and around at $200 and $300 an hour. And Glass's courtroom was empty, and Traeger's courtroom was open, and there were 2 people at the bench, and there was a man on the bench. So what are we doing? We're doing a public inspection of the United States District Court, Eastern District of New York, on May the 24th. On the 5th floor, Pollock's courtroom was empty. At 2:36 p.m. I found out why. She was doing the arraignments down in the ceremonial courtroom, where we were falsely arraigned, charged, falsely handcuffed, and all those things in March of 1997, 3 years ago. I think they have new carpeting in the hallways in the back where the judges are, and I don't know whether they're building the new courthouse or not, or if it has been stopped by the general services. But it should be stopped because they abuse the courtroom that they have now. And in Amon's courtroom there were 7 people, and in Beery's courtroom was empty, and Nickerson's courtroom was empty, and Levy, of course, is always late. His courtroom, 5 people were there waiting for a conference. Levy, the Romanian. At 2:45 p.m., we were fooling around waiting for Go to have a public hearing, as she should, instead of a private hearing in her office. Very sloppy job. On case 97, Civ 4031, Wesser is a man who is 75 years old, white, and he applied to CUNY law school, and he's been rejected several times, and so he's suing them. Jackson says there are only 2 public law schools in the state of New York, CUNY and SUNY, State University of New York at Buffalo. Now, Raji, there were 14 people in that courtroom, and Sifton, in Sifton's courtroom, there was a woman there, and I recognized that woman, and that was Eileen R. Ross. So I watched her for a long time. She's the one who ran away from Glendora versus Bruiser Ken and Franklin Buell versus Kenneth H. Mildorn. Those 2 great fights for America, and she just ran away with her tail between her legs. And at 3:02 p.m., I saw the arraignments with Pollock as the judge, and at 3:03 p.m., Mann's courtroom was locked, and Gold was saying, well, go ahead and have a good time. Typical flip Gold remark. And at 3:05 p.m., the public inspection was over of the United States District Court, Eastern District of New York, 225 Cadman Plaza East. Now, see what other reports are coming up. This is a very big one, folks, on a temporary restraining order on Cablevision to enjoin them from effecting the horrible new access rules on July 1st, 2000. Memorial Day 2000, Anno Domini, United States District Court, Eastern District of Missouri. Lori Galgano, Philip Goldstein in Glendora, Richard Einhorn, James Burness, Kelly Burness, Zabby, the Public Access Television Association, E. Rossin Hoskins versus James L. Dolan, Charles F. Dolan, Robert S. Lemley, Charles Forma, Cablevision Systems Corporation, Mark Shukin, Brian McNeil, Maurice Cunningham, Robert Callaghy, Sadley, Stevens, Burke and Burke, Group 1 defendants, Peter Ibajur, Texaco Incorporated, its Board of Directors, and Tim Miller, Group 2 defendants. This is an order to show cause for preliminary injunction and temporary restraining order that defendants be prevented from effecting their access kit on July 1st, 2000. And this is how an order to show cause goes. It's really a motion. It's really nothing but a motion, but it's a special kind of motion because the time on it is maybe a week to show cause. And it says, upon, this is, you make this out for the judge and the judge fills it in. Upon the affidavits of Glendora sworn to on the 31st day of May 2000, and upon the complaint herein annexed, it is ordered that the above named defendant show cause before this court at room blank, United States Courthouse, 1114 Market Street, St. Louis, Missouri, 63101, on blank date, and the judge fills that in, year 2000, at blank o'clock in the blank afternoon or forenoon thereof, or as soon thereafter as counsel may be heard. Why an order should not be issued pursuant to Rule 65 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure for a preliminary injunction and temporary restraining order stopping defendants from implementing their Cablevision Public Educational and Governmental Access Kit on July 1st, 2000. Super applies only to Group 1 defendants, James Dolan through Satterley. And then it goes on, it says, and it is further ordered, the judge signs all this and fills it in, that a copy of this order, together with the papers upon which it is granted, be served upon the defendants by certified mail, return receipt requested, and by regular mail, on or before blank date, 2000 blank, by blank p.m. or a.m. And then it has so ordered, and that's where the judge signs it. So that's an order to show cause. And then you have to attach to it an affidavit, or it can be an affirmation if it's federal court. And this is my affirmation, our affirmation, that we're going to have it notarized, so it will be an affidavit. Just a second. Defendant James Dolan through Satterley, faced with strong and reasonable protests by plaintiffs and over 100 non-plaintiff public access producers, will not recant. In over 10 meetings with public access producers, said defendants adhere adamantly and unreasonably to implementing the anathema access kit, July 1st, 2000. Herein lies good and sufficient reasons why procedure other than by notice of motion is necessary. In other words, why does it have to be a special motion? Well, because of the date July 1st. No previous application for a similar relief has been made. Defendants are notified of this application for an order to show cause by U.S. mail on May 31st, 2000, the same day the application is posted to the court. Defendants are nearer to the White Plains, New York post office than is the court. Ergo, they should receive ample notice. Under penalty of perjury, plaintiff Glendora tells the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and always has. So help her God. Glendora, as plaintiff in the above entitled action, respectfully moves this court to order defendants to show cause why they should not be enjoined from affecting their cablevision public educational and government access kit July 1st, 2000, until a final disposition on the merits in the above entitled action. Unless this order is issued, plaintiffs will suffer immediate and irreparable injury, loss, and damage. Our free speech will be improperly restrained. The public's First Amendment right to know, that's you. You have a right to know. That's your First Amendment right. Will be impaired. Public access producers' freedom from cable TV operator editorial control will be violated. Our right that no cable TV operator shall limit or prohibit public access will be violated. Even 30 seconds of lost free speech cannot be retrieved or repaired. Thus, plaintiff shows irreparable harm. Incorporated herein, as if fully stated herein, are all of the reasons in the complaint affixed hereto why plaintiffs will be damaged and prejudiced. Balance of hardship tips to the plaintiffs. Plaintiffs will be irreparably harmed. Harm to defendants, cablevision, is de minimis. Defendants' access kit, quote unquote, quote, is against the public interest. As can be seen from the foregoing, plaintiffs have no adequate remedy at law. Wherefore, I respectfully request that the court grant the within relief as well as such other and further relief that may be just and proper, together with the cost of this action. Yours in truth, Glendora. So that's the affidavit. And this is a copy of the front page of the complaint, which has been received by the court and given a docket number and assigned to a judge. Would you like to know the name of the judge? Lawrence O. Davis. And this paper costs 9.5 hours and about about $39. And the totals that this paper has, that this action has cost already is $132 and $311.62. We got out a letter to Mark Shukin, and these are all the people that it goes to. All the envelopes are addressed. It has to be printed, fold stuff and seal, and printed, posted, and served. This letter to Mark Shukin says, thank you for the meeting of 5/19 Friday, 2 to 5 p.m. Glendora apologizes for being late. We should have left at 5:30 a.m. Thank you for the new wallpaper at Lindbrook. And here is a swatch. I showed you that swatch, the light tan. And it is much better than the dark gray. Final is final, has a different meaning for us now. Thank you for the new carpeting and new mop boards and sofa. The yard now looks better than the lumber yard next door. Before, the lumber yard next door looked better than the cablevision yard. Lindbrook as a dump has been eradicated. Glendora has been associating with Portland, Oregon Public Access for just 6 months. They are so pleasant. Don't you think Infer is a nice way to do things? And that's that one sheet application that I showed you. Don't you think that's a nice way to do things? Now, did you read Glendora's annotations, the anathema on the public access kit? Yes or no? Do you have dubs of the videotapes of the public access meetings with Cunningham, McNeil, Bennett, and Van Horn? It would be helpful for you to see the picture. Pun, son. Glendora liked it when you stood up in opposition to Cablevision's being faceless and nameless. You said, well, I am Cablevision. I am a vice president. I am not sure what you meant, but I liked it. Glendora agreed to see you, or Glendora asked to see you on May the 23rd, Tuesday, when she was at Bethpage, demanding her 624 right to see the books, records, and minutes. And you were reported to be out of town today and tomorrow. Franklin likes your cablecasting, baseball, Newark, Bridgeport, Staten, and Central Islip. As you have been notified, Glendora is asking for a temporary restraining order to enjoin you from effecting the access kit July the 1st, 2000. This is in the United States District Court, Eastern District of Missouri. How many times have you watched a chat with Glendora? Glendora is on 23 cable TV systems. Have you seen these newspaper articles from the East End? Cablevision war. Cablevision threatens to cut public access. I don't know if that really is the case. I don't really know what they're doing. You know, they're trying to get rid of public access, which of course they can't do. Cablevision under fire in Southold. Public access producers blast new regulations. The Suffolk Times. Headline, Cablevision clash. This is the calendar of Godberg versus Cablevision argued in the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit. These are the notes that Glendora took at Shukin's meeting, and this is Franklin's shorthand, grade shorthand. And here's a publication by Robert Goldberg about the public access meeting, and Hill Gardner's ultimatum to Cablevision, which I read to you last week, or discussed with you last week. And here's another publication by Goldberg. And we have a letter here to Goldberg. We include in Mark Shukin's letter. That letter was written around 2 a.m. And then we wish to congratulate Jay Thorne for the work that he is doing to stand up for public access. And this is amazing. Paul Spira went through all of the rules, and he made comments in red as to what was right about them, what was wrong about them. And this is several pages long, and so I'm sending this to Shukin and to the United States District Court in St. Louis. And here is a letter from Jay Thorne, and that is the end. And here's a letter to Spira commending him on what he's doing for public access. And here's the cost of this paper. It cost 6 hours. It cost $40.03, and that makes the cost in 138 hours and $351.65. And that's at $250 an hour. I believe that you are up to date. When I was at the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit, I looked, Richard Martinez found me this, and so did Sam. And they printed this out for me with all my case numbers, 52 of them, in the Second Circuit. And I had to go through the computer and press history and then go to the last page and to see if it said that my records on appeal had been returned to the district court. It seems to me a clerk should give me that answer. Right? And I think that's all of the news. I think you're all up to date on the war with Cablevision, trying to take away Americans' rights, if that's what they're doing. And here's a joke for you. Harry was talking to God, and he says, God, how much is $10 to you? And God said, $1 million. And Harry says, well, God, how long is 1,000,000 years to you? And God said, a second. And Harry says, well, God, will you loan me $10? And God said, certainly, just a second.
That they'll keep doing.
That's why they don't want
question about it,
caught.
which is rather relevant. If a stenographer already transcribed and he has it done for one party, another party would call in and say, I want a copy.
Right.
Do they have the right to charge it all over again?
Absolutely. There's another price for copies.
Or just the price for copy?
No, there is another price for copies. There's different rules in federal court. He's in federal court. There's different rules for federal court. Remember, federal court taking courts.
Some do it with the, it depends with the judge,
With all due respect, I haven't seen a federal court, whether it's Uniondale, Brooklyn, or Westbury, that doesn't take it.
They do both in Westbury.
No, they all do both.
Uniondale is usually the tape recorder.
I haven't gotten an answer yet in terms of expenditures, and what you people feel we need to do, and whether we have the ammunition to hit them, or would you rather leave it to us to get the ammunition, to know what to put, to do it, to start doing these kinds of things, and put them on the defensive. I mean, I know it's going to be, I'm going to need a few of you to contribute pliers, because Carl doesn't part with $1 for air. I mean, you should only know how many conversations I had regarding the bullhorn. So,
I felt you didn't need one.
Do you people think that we ought to do something of that nature, the cost of which is not that, I mean, Tom, what can you get this week for in Suffolk and Nassau?
If you're interested in doing any kind of advertising, I could definitely help you there.
Oh, see that?
Any newspaper in New York, any newspaper throughout the country.
Well, I think that as a start, and I got some estimate last year, and I even lost track of a woman who gave it to me and all that kind of stuff, so I'd have to start again. But it was something like $2,600 for a half a page, or $3,000 in that range. And there was some deals, and you had to take so much. I don't know that I want it, because we have one line at the office, and I think we'd have to have a few people come in and man the phones, because I think we would get that many phone responses for the next day or two after we ran the ads. The point I'm trying to make is, what do you people feel about it? I'm not going to take a vote. I just want to know if you think we ought to do it.
I think it's a good idea.
if they to grow, make the group grow, or your cause to grow, that would be very desirable.
I think you need to pick an issue that will inflame interest. I don't think too many people care. I don't think too many people care about whether lawyers walk through the same method.
No, I wouldn't run an
something
ad.
that really matters.
I wouldn't run an ad about lawyers because nobody would know what I'm talking about. I was talking about Ellie. I was talking about a lawsuit there. Ed?
I think that if you can get co-op advertising dollars from who? From prepaid legal, and run an ad
Never.
so that people know that if they want to sign up.
With all due respect, America's Relief was a 501c3, it's a not-for-profit organization. We could not do that. The same way that, as much as we may love Judge Rabb, we couldn't endorse Judge Rabb. So there are restrictions when you are a 501c3. For those people who don't know what it is, it's a not-for-profit organization. So we never could do anything like that. There was somebody else here. Esther, you want to talk? Michelle, you're next. Esther, did you want? Or you don't?
What would be assuming I would want a consultation that you talked about, how would we go about it? That's
Consultation with who?
With you and anybody that
Well,
wants
call.
to arrange it. Okay, that's number one. Now, what if during the minutes, the judge will turn to the stenographer and say, strike that out?
Goes that all the time? Does it all the time?
Is there any way I can say, no, don't strike that out?
No, you don't run the courtroom.
But it won't happen.
Have it on the record that you don't want it.
That's right. Michelle?
Yeah, I think under the equal protection, I think that we should equally be protected from the lawyers as they think that the judges need protection from us. They should have to go through the medical protection.
Well,
And
that's the
I
point.
think that's a good issue. I think that's a good issue. To start on that.
Oh, I know my lawyer will be upset about that.
Harvey, the reason there are metal detectors in the courthouse, believe it or not, is because a lawyer pulled a gun on me in the courthouse. And the court officers knocked him on his ass.
So that's why they're putting them all the
That is why they were put in right after that happened.
There were shootings. You want them?
Well, you were looking for a specific thing to put in the papers to try to sue?
I
was wondering if we could start to get the judges responsible for their decisions. I mean, this is...
The point is, there's a gazillion people out there. See, you don't get the same input that we get, and that's understandable because we're getting the phone calls. Shh, you gotta, we've got a meeting going. You don't get the same input that we get in the sense that people say, I never heard of you people before. We've been around for almost 10 years, and I never heard of you people before. What we're trying to say is, we want more people to know about us. We want more input from more people so that we can do more things. And that's what the purpose is, to make yourself visible. That's what the purpose of the demonstrations are, so that people know that we're around. But we're not reaching the maximum amount of people. When I get phone calls in the last number of weeks, I never heard of you people before. Janet, and you?
Harvey, what's wrong with putting a reader ad about 5 or 6 lines in this week penny saver, rather than go half page, quarter page?
Continuous reader ad.
Oh, it's every week, it just comes out.
No, those things are good when you're promoting a meeting. When you're trying to, when you have an issue thing, I mean, you know,
Well, what's wrong with
when you're talking about an issue, you want to get to the bottom of the issue. You want to talk about how corrupt the system is and how we can't, let me put it this way, you can run an ad and you can say, look, we can't get our message out because Newsday's got a reporter whose husband is a lawyer. We can't get our message out because Channel 12, 50% of their advertising is lawyers, so they're not interested in doing any stories about lawyers. We will then say this to people who are in the courts and are being demolished like all of us have been, and the net result is, I think we'd be deluged with phone calls with people saying, well, how come I never heard of you people before? Tom, Sal, I'm sorry, then Tom, and then you.
What is your suggested ad, first ad? What do you want to say in this ad?
I just said
information about attorneys or judges that have corrupted your case, Have you been overcharged? What do you want to say?
Yeah, all of those things.
All of those things.
Where would the ad go? Where would you take a plate?
Then would you put
This
people,
week, penny saver, the one that's inserted into Newsday.
Okay, there's a card
this week?
which is sent out. You get 10,000 cards mailed out in with the penny saver for $300. It's a big card.
I did that, I got one
There's a
response.
no, that people throw them out, because like me, I get my phone out.
$5 a year.
There's two people ahead of you, so hang on. Tom and then this.
Newsday owns a tremendous amount of other properties besides
Right.
this week.
And this week is one.
Now, you have to understand something. Anybody here that gets a shopper to the house, Newsday owns it.
That's right.
It's called, the company's called DSA Community Publishing. They don't go under the name of Newsday. What you can do is it depends if you guys want to speak to me later. I can work with you on doing a little bit better than going into just the home. Newsday only goes to, I think, it was like 400 or 300,000. It's a big number, but it's not all of Nassau County. So if you're interested in doing something like that, blanketing territory.
We talk enough, but I just want, the input that I want to get is, does everybody here feel that this is feasible in terms of what we should do and what we should be saying?
Yes.
Janet?
Harvey, when you do the advertisement, are you going to say for instance, okay, lawyers double charge you at closings, and do you give the example of the attorney? Or you want
Something like that.
If we have fact. If we came to you and we said, is that what you're trying to bring out?
The point is, we can handle the first couple of ads ourselves in terms of what we know where the corruption is and what they do.
So every week you want it to be different? Is that what you're saying?
Well, we're not going to run, we may run a series of ads, but the point then spend $10,000, $15,000 and then see what happens.
You're not thinking about that.
What?
You're not thinking about that, are you?
Why not?
Spending $10,000 or $15,000
Yeah.
of the money you just got?
Yeah.
How's that going to be replenished?
Hmm?
How is that going to be?
We think we're going to get.
How's it going to be replenished?
We think we're going to get a response commensurate with that to reach out and also we believe that maybe some of the major media that might be interested, for example, like a Channel 2 or 4 or CNN or whatever, might then come to us and say, hey, these guys are doing something, and the same way we used to get phone calls from Arts and we had a demonstration, we had a huge turnout in the snow because everybody heard we're going to have the television cameras there from A&E, and every once in a while they rerun it, and my beautiful face is on the camera, and as well as Carl's face when he had some hair.
And it was a terrible program. It was an absolutely terrible program.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Good job on that program.
It doesn't matter.
When you advertise like this, you got to have a follow through.
Right.
You got to have like a coupon there saying join this,
Oh, yeah.
$10 a month.
Oh,
that might make some sense, but you got. I think personally, you got to start at a level that you can deal with it. Whether that makes sense financially, and when it comes back in and it proves itself, then you can keep it reinvesting it. But you can't just blow out $2,000, $3,000 on a search, okay, with no follow through on the coupon. If you ask people, have you ever been heard by this and that, and join this organization, and you make the dues, we should have dues.
We do have dues. We do have dues.
I'm saying we got to state in the end that there are dues, and if you want to join the organization.
We fully understand that.
Okay, so I'm saying if you do that, and you get new members, yeah, but that's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to get 50 new people here on one weekend, and everybody's going to write a check. It's not going to happen.
No, that's not going to happen because people basically, well, the truth of the matter is that people like a free ride and also don't like the fundraise. Basically, people are inherently selfish. You're putting me in a position where
What's the big deal?
look, I've been at it for 10 years, and I got to tell you, it hasn't been easy keeping it going. When we've had a few people who subsidize this thing, and we use Carl's office, and we use Carl's phones, and so, it's wonderful to get all the criticism when you're the people, because you can sit out and take pop shots or whatever, why should you do this, or why should you do that, or why should you do the other thing? It's very easy. It's very easy to sit on the outside, not come to the demonstrations, not take it on the chin when you come to a meeting at Law Day and get assaulted, not be the point people. It's very easy to sit and then say, well, we shouldn't do this, or we shouldn't do that.
I know, basically, all I'm saying is, you put the ad in, and you have some sort of follow-through, where there's going to be a meeting held on this date in the library, whatever, come, free admission, okay, then when they come in, and you put down that, you know, this is a dues-paying, a not-for-profit organization. I think that's very important to mention. And then, do you have information about attorneys or judges who have wrecked their case? And I think if it falls that way, when the people come in and become dues-paying,
That's exactly what we want to do. Esther and that lady,
You know,
Kelly?
May I make a suggestion? Rather than have dues where people come from time to time, they don't come to every meeting. Why don't, like, you go to different functions that are advertised under the social events of Newsday? Rather than $6 a fee or $5, why don't you charge $3 for every, and we have a steady income, and I think that would be better than dues at the end of the year. I really do. I mean, it's just a thought.
Trust me, you try things like that, don't work.
No, okay. Now another thing, I've been getting a flyer to the house. It's like a small penny saver, and it's very nice. And it's only, if you want to subscribe, it's $5 a year, and the ad costs $10 for 3 months. I think at a rate like that, we should try it. We have nothing to lose.
You gotta get numbers. Tom Kamada will tell you that.
And also, the last thing that I want to say is, I don't want to go to court on Monday if I can help it. Does anybody have a brainstorm that I can use for not going?
Slip on a pickle and call your doctor.
I think we've gotten some input here, and we'll have to decide. And I don't think we're going to make a decision in the next couple of weeks anyway.
There's a freebie, Harvey, you know, if you're a non-for-profit, you can ask the penny saver to put it into their community events.
We have notices.
Well, you do get
about
them.
meetings. We have notices about meetings. I got it. You wanted to say something back there?
Are you familiar with the coalition for landlords, homeowners, and merchants?
Yes, and so where's Sonny?
We're here.
Oh, you want to discuss that with her later?
No, I just wanted to say that, I mean, there's discussion.
I'll tell you what I found now.
But they advertise, I just want to discuss their advertising.
Yeah, they're doing it on Sonny's money.
Well, they put an ad, we'll get to that. But they put an ad in the penny saver, which I think is very inexpensive. And they wake up America, you know, they start off with, and then they, you know, catch your attention. And it's a very inexpensive way of advertising. They get a lot of people to their meetings. They have a meeting in a hotel.
I'm not trying.
I think Harvey's trying to talk about raising money and getting more members, not just making a note.
Tom?
I just wanted to let you know.
And then, excuse me, their dues could be very high. They start at $45, but they go up to like $1,500.
And it's $35 per month.
$45?
$35 per month. It's $10 for them and $25 for legal fee.
All right, listen.
So it's $35 a month, and I believe it's $800.
Before we get carried away, there's something I wanted to throw it out. Dennis Dillon, and I went to their defense, and then we had the police there and the whole bit. And they called 3 police cars. And I said, the 3 women were just raped in Nassau County because you 3 guys are here watching us. But is there any kind of consensus to do something like this? I mean, he's got a $100 fundraiser. He's doing it at the Bar Association. Yes, sir.
One question. Do you have a listing in the yellow pages or in the white pages for Americans for Legal Reform? Paul?
No.
No, not anymore.
Are you aware of the fact that you can pay for an additional listing for your telephone? So that if somebody wants to contact Americans for Legal Reform, pick up the phone, dial 411, and they can find Americans for Legal Reform. I know because I lost the phone number, and I couldn't get it.
That's exactly right.
That's something you should put, that's all.
But if you get a business line, you
I
get
didn't know
it
you
free in the directory, in the yellow page.
No, you can pay for an extra listing.
Got what?
Got a little
You can
How
pay
much
for an, you can pay for an extra listing. I have one listing under paralegal. They give me, I pay extra money to get a listing,
take the
Notary Public,
I now pay one bill.
mediation.
An individual
It
listing.
costs me like $2.40 a month for each of those extra listings.
He's saying that you could have an additional listing in the local.
You can have an additional one at very, very low cost. I think it costs me $2.40 a month to run one under Notary Public and one under mediation. And my regular ad costs me $260 a month. Okay, that's my regular yellow page ad. But you can, I'm quite certain, get an extra listing under associations.
We'll check that out.
Excuse me, what I don't understand is that if the numbers of people who have been so dissatisfied with their attorneys is so great, and I think it is great, and this group has been advertising, why isn't this group larger? I don't understand that.
Well, I'll explain it to you. I'll explain it to you because people come and they expect, first of all, they expect,
No, I read about it, but I told you.
they expect instant gratification. This is not instant gratification. You know, the gay and lesbian community, whatever you think, it started 27 years ago at Stonewall in Greenwich Village, a bar. It was a riot. They've been at it for 27 years. The civil rights movement. What's his name? Who was the Supreme Court Justice who died?
Thurgood Marshall.
Thurgood Marshall was in court for 30 years making the lawsuits until finally Brown versus the Board of Education, and then it still didn't solve the problem. So this is the difficulty because people come, this is going to be like sex. I'm going to come to this meeting and my troubles with my lawyer are going to be over. And the judge is going to get scared and it's going to be over. Doesn't work that way. This takes effort, this takes energy. You know what it is? It's like a job. You must work at it. But you know what? Everybody wants to come and dip their toes in the water. Can you make it to court watch? No, I can't make it. But would you come for me? That's what the problem is. When we have enough people who are dedicated to come to whether it's meetings or it's demonstrations or whatever it is, court watching, how many people there are called to talk radio show to talk about their lawyers?
Bob Grant.
Okay. How many people have called to complain about the judges? How many letters has anybody written a letter to Newsday recently about lawyers and judges? Okay, there you go. Now, you know what happens? They write one letter, it doesn't get printed, and they're gone. You know what? You gotta flood them. You gotta keep doing it. And it sometimes works. Sometimes it doesn't work. But once again, we're back to the instant gratification shtick. And so the problem is, don't get instant gratification. This is a long-term thing. And we get people who come and they go, and they come and they go. And they come back after 4 months or whatever they happen to be. We dip your toes in. You know, I put in, most of you won't even remember it, I put in the last bulletin in November that Julia, Carl, and Harvey feel like $2 hookers because people call out of the blue, they want instant gratification. Could you give me a lawyer now? I said, wait a minute. Oh, first of all, we don't recommend lawyers. That's number one. We're not a lawyer referral. But more importantly, what is it? What can we do for you? What is your problem? Look, I called you for a reason, and that's it. That's why they talk to you.
Well, that's right.
Okay?
That's right.
Yeah, but you,
Sal, I'm not complaining.
But you don't go forward with that kind of
Okay,
thing in
if you
this
want to go forward, you have to have a
organization.
strategy.
We have a
And that's what he's
strategy.
basically talking
You know what,
about.
when
That's right.
people-
Put some ads
You don't know what you're getting involved in when you call your number. I didn't, I don't even remember how I got into it at all. But I'm seeking help.
We've had
I'm
people
seeking help and I
call us
realize what you're doing.
Yeah,
And I realize
we've had people call us up and ask for help, and guess what? We were out there doing it, and they were home in bed.
Yeah, well, you know what? You're an activist organization. Everybody doesn't want to be an activist, but people want their problem.
Yeah, but when you have, you know what? Why did we want to be? Why did we want to
Because you
be?
do it for yourself.
No, because
Yeah, no,
we're
you're right.
No,
You're actually right for yourself.
I feel better when I demonstrate.
I do only this for myself I don't think so. Never happened. You are talking about the wrong one.
The point is though.
Am I right? No way.
When somebody calls.
I'm doing it for my children and everybody else's children. I'm doing it for everybody.
Please.
When somebody calls, they've got to be indoctrinated in some way, right off the bat, without throwing them out and hanging up the phone, that you're coming here as a cause, and not their cause.
But that's not...
And I don't know...
Well, here, let me say, Kelly, I just spoke to you yesterday, correct?
Right.
Yesterday. Did I speak to you in a proper way? Was I polite?
No.
Well, no.
You wasn't that way to me.
Oh, come on, Harvey. You just meant to say that.
You
wanted me to take my clothes
No,
off.
I think I did it with humor.
Now, Julie, this lady would like to join. She don't know about paying
Hang on a
dues.
second. I did it with humor, which I always try to do.
Anybody didn't sign?
What we're trying to say,
I'm on the list. I didn't want to...
well, what we're trying to say is very simple. There are some people you can't deal with because they're calling for a particular purpose and a particular reason. They're not willing to participate. They're into me, not we. I gotta tell you
That's
something.
the average person, Norman.
Sal, I couldn't agree with you more. But that's not going to build this organization.
Absolutely not,
Okay?
but as people become more familiar, the first few times I came here, I was wondering what the hell was going on.
Right.
Okay, and after a while, I got to know you, I
Right.
know Julie outside,
Right, exactly.
And I have a certain amount of confidence in you, yet, right now, at this point in my life, I'm not ready to go down and pick it. I'm just not. That's me.
Yeah, but you see,
You
what
see,
you're
but
missing...
we're only as strong as our
No,
people.
but you're,
I realize that,
Sal,
and in time, maybe 6 months from now, I'll have a different
no,
attitude.
but Sal, I don't want everybody in this room, I mean, I love it, but it's not gonna happen. Everybody in this room is not gonna pick it all the time. Everybody in this room is
Once
not
in a
gonna
while.
court watch all the time.
Right.
Everybody in this room is not gonna write letters all the time. But you wanna know something? Most of the people, with all due respect to you, do nothing. You did something for Esther, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the difference. Tom will tell you, because I've gone to repeated meetings with prepaid legal, okay? And many times, like 500, 600, 700 people, right? We were at Madison Square Garden. How many people we had that night? 800 people at Madison Square Garden. I want you to understand that. You know how many of those people stick that are there and not associated? If it's 25%, maybe, right? So, and there's another kind of opportunity in another way, whether it's money-making opportunity or to get yourself an insurance policy, etc. So this is a very normal thing. People come, they dip their toes in the water. We're not going to reach everybody. People come and they think they're going to learn everything about our organization in one meeting. It doesn't work that way. The situation doesn't work that way.
You gotta have someone like Tom plan your ad. That's what you have to start.
Well, look, I have that in the back of my mind, but I mean, I spoke to him before this meeting. I spoke to him before I talked to anybody here. So I'm trying to get across here. I want to get some input. We don't want everybody here to say, hey, you went and did what you went and did because we're going to get that kind of criticism. And by the way, whatever you do, you get criticism. Fortunately, I have the hide of an armadillo. Carl has developed the hide of an armadillo. They're not going to get to us. They're not going to reach us. We're going to do the proper thing. We have built this organization. When we first started, there were 7 people sitting around in a circle telling about their problems, okay? So we've been around for a long time, and we will continue to be around because we got dedication. You got to have dedication to keep it going. There were many times when we had a demonstration, it was myself and Julia and Carl. That's it. So we don't expect everybody to do everything. That's all.
I want to make a positive.
You live in Great Neck, so you know about the 2 organizations that you've heard of
Retired executives and professionals.
There's two groups like that in Great Neck. Also, they got the senior citizens.
Believe me, it will be a very informative group.
Well, the reason why I mention it is because I know you come from Great Neck. It would be easy for you.
All will come from Huntington. Don't worry. Sal?
You want to come up with something positive. And even though you started this organization, and even though you 3 are doing the nucleus of this organization, okay, get this guy Tom to make a few ads for you that make sense, look them over, make some changes, and then push that in front of everyone at the next meeting. And say, hey, look, this is what we want to do. We want to spend $500. This is what we want to do. And if you coordinate the advertising, even if it's only 10,000 pieces, along with speaking engagements, you'll definitely raise more people. But you gotta go out there and you gotta tell them, I think basically the way to get people in this is to tell them, tell us your story, please, your lawyer or your judge. And I think people want to tell that story. I think people want to tell that story, and that's the way you're gonna start it in. And as you get it in, then you can deal with other aspects of them.
And,
All right.
Are you going to ignore me the whole meeting, Carmen?
No.
Are you going to ignore me for the whole meeting?
no, I'm sorry, but
I've had my hand up.
I didn't.
Okay, let him go first.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say, I know that you don't want to leave this impression. You were saying before that if anybody didn't come to demonstrations, it's easy for them to do things, which is irrelevant in terms of the input that they might give this organization. I mean, if somebody doesn't go to a demonstration, doesn't mean that their input is any less crucial or any less relevant. No, I know you do. But I'm saying we wouldn't want anybody to go away with that impression. And then you mentioned about the organization being subsidized by a few people, which is absolutely the case. And I think that it should be a priority in the organization that we're not back at that situation in 18 months, whereby all of a sudden a few people are subsidizing.
We have no money left.
So it has to be done prudently, and I'm sure you agree. I know you're not arguing.
I totally agree with what you just said. I also feel that you also must take advantage of situations. We have kept this thing going by dipping into our pocket mostly.
I understand. That's what I'm saying. And we don't want that to happen again.
Well, we don't want it to happen again. So we should just sit back and not do anything.
Is that what I? Is that?
No, I didn't say you said it.
Oh.
I'm just saying that the fact that we're talking about an expenditure, we're not going to go and spend the money and lay it down for $25,000 or something of that nature.
Well, you mentioned 10,000, which struck
I
a
think
little
the figure is a round figure, but you know what you do when you do something like that? You may have to do 2 ads, which may cost like $6,000, and then you see what the results are, and then you go forward. That's the way you can do it. Am I right, Tom? I mean, you can do it.
I want to show you this. This is the Seventh-day Adventist Center in Manhasset, off Shelter Rock Road. And today is May 30th. And that's Franklin sitting in the 1993 Lincoln. We just went to the Seventh Day store. Held a chat with Glendora to 7 different cable companies. And this is the green in Great Neck. And we're on our way to Great Neck Public Access. Isn't that nice? And of course this is May 30th, year 2000. To hand in a chat with Glendora and pick up a chat with Glendora. Right in there. Need planters. They look very, very nice. And there's the peonies. And over here are the roses. said that the board of directors recommends that you do not vote for this. I recommend that you do. And I recommend that you vote early and vote often. Well, the next page is all of Cablevision's rationalizations and lies and cover-ups that they don't need independent board members. And you can know how much you can believe in that. So when we resume our reports next time, we will begin on page 8. Eventually we will get to their salaries and all of the bonuses and how much money you are giving them a year and how rich you have made them and how they have snickered you with all of their rate increases, and the money doesn't go into the company, the money goes into their pockets, and the money doesn't go into dividends. To be folks, James Dolan at the annual meeting of Cablevision said that he was having the directors stand for re-election, but they just get up and get out of position. You know, they don't turn around and say hello and this and so forth. You know, that's the way. Elect them as quietly and as secretively as possible. And so he's saying that Mr. Somers from AT&T won't be there because of the weather. And he's talking about a question that has gone through my mind many times, is where is the 14th director? They claim they have 14 directors on the board, but I can only count up 13, most of which, of course, are Dolans. So,
company. Patrick Dolan, Vice President of the News of the company.
Oh.
Thomas Dolan, Senior Vice President and Chief Information Officer of the company.
Is he here?
John Tata, a consultant to the company. Daniel Summers, President and Chief Executive Officer of AT&T Broadband. And myself, James Dolan, President and Chief Executive Officer of the company. Mr. Summers is late arriving due to the weather. And should he have been here, I would have introduced Mr. Michael Hoosby, Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer of AT&T Broadband, who was nominated as Class B Director by AT&T Corporation as one of the 2 Class B Directors AT&T may nominate after the printing of the company's proxy statement. As a result, Mr. Hoosby will be elected as a Class B Director by the company's Board of Directors after the annual meeting. Robert Lendley will record the proceedings of the meeting. He has delivered to the meeting an affidavit of Chase Mellon Shareholder Services, which is the registrar and transfer agent.
It's out and out crooked. And I made a point of that Mr. Hoosby is going to be elected by the Board of Directors, not by the shareholders, not at the annual meeting. After the annual meeting, the Board of Directors are going to elect Mr. Hoosby. Is that American? Is that democratic? What is it? It's a family company.
A common stock and 9 directors to be elected by holders of Class B common stock. Proxy statement sent to you earlier listed the nominees for election by holders of Class A common stock and Class B common stock. I will now entertain nominations for the Class A directors.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Charles Forma, and I am a Class A stockholder. I hereby nominate Charles P. Ferris, Richard H. Hoffman, Victor Oristano, and Vincent as Class A directors.
Is there any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Dolan. My name is Glendora, and I'm a shareholder, and the proxy statement states that the board recommends you vote for these nominees. I recommend you do not.
Any other discussion?
My name is Frank Golden. I'm a Class B proxy holder. I hereby nominate William J. Bell, Charles F. Dolan, James L. Dolan, Patrick F. Dolan, Thomas C. Dolan, Robert S. Lumley, Sheila A. Mahoney, Daniel E. Summers, and John Tata as Class B directors.
Is there any discussion on the motion?
Dolan. My name is Glendora. I'm a shareholder. The proxy statement recommends that you vote for these nominees. I recommend you do not.
Any other discussion? KPMG LLP as independent auditors for 2000. Daniel McMahon and Jean DeMarc, each a partner of KPMG LLP, are with us today. I will now entertain such a motion.
So, my name is Robert J. Astor, and I am a holder of Class A common stock of the company. I hereby move that the appointment of KPMG LLP as independent auditors for 2000 be ratified and approved.
Is there any discussion on the motion?
Yes, Mr. Dolan. Will I please stand? Will the people from KPMG please stand? And is there another one? Okay. Thank you. Do these papers, the proxy statement and the 10K, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Well, that, our opinion is accompanying the company's financial statements.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Our accountant's report and opinion on the company's financial statements are included in the company's annual report to shareholders as well as this 10K.
Do they tell the truth?
Financial statements are presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting. We have issued an unqualified opinion.
Are you telling the truth, so help you God?
I am telling the truth.
Now, if you revealed something other than these cablevision people asked you to reveal, would you lose your chance to be re-elected their accountants next year? Thank you. You couldn't hear what they said, could you? No. Were they mumbling? Yes. Were they standing up for the truth? I don't think so. Were they direct and honest with you? I really don't think so. Do you? If so, why all of the mumbling?
If there is any other discussion on the proposal, I would like to say that the company is very proud of its board of directors and the level of independent judgment that they bring to the board deliberation. We strongly believe that the company's structure and the composition of its board have served the stockholders exceedingly well. Is there any other discussion on the motion?
Mr. James Dolan, I recommend that the shareholders vote for this proposal. I think it's excellent. I say vote early and vote often.
With that, is there any other discussion on the motion? If not, I will open the floor for comments after making the statement. If any stockholder has any questions relating to the company, but not relating to the matters voted on at this meeting, they may be raised at this time while the vote is being tabulated. Only matters of concern to all stockholders should be raised at this time. If there are any matters of individual concern to a stockholder, they should be raised after the meeting. There will be representatives of the company here who will respond to questions. Glendora.
Thank you, James Dolan. I wish to commend you all on the refurbishing of the auditorium. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't think it's right. Who is this man, Mr. Husey? How's he spell his name?
Well, you're saying it correctly.
Okay. H-U-E-S-E-Y, something like that?
Yeah, and I believe that since I brought Mr. Husey's name, that he has Huseby, excuse me. He has arrived, yes. Mr. Huseby is sitting in the front row right there.
Glad to meet you, sir. What's your name? How do you spell your name?
H-U-S-E-B-Y.
H-U-S-B-boy-Y. E-Y. Thank you. I don't think it's right that the shareholders didn't have a chance to vote on Mr. Huseby. I have my memorandum on the proxy statement, and I would like every director to get it. Yeah, what director doesn't have it? Thank you, sir. And how many directors are present? All right, how many directors are absent? Well, there's supposed to be 14th, and one of my questions was who was the 14th, but now we found out. Any other director? Thank you, sir. Would you pass that over? Thanks, Bill. How many directors are present? All directors are present? Oh, congratulations. Mr. James Dolan, where is the shareholders list? Where? Is that the Class A and the Class B? Where's Class B? It's there. This is Class B? Where? This is Class A. And where's Class B? Okay, thank you. And we leave it there and give us a chance to look at it after the meeting's over. These pages are stuck on each other. They're affectionate. Now, how many directors, Charles F. Dolan, did you go to all the board meetings last year?
To the best of my memory, I attended all the board meetings.
Oh, thank you. And did you go to the committee meetings?
Any committee meetings that I was supposed to attend, I attended.
Oh, thank you. James L. Dolan, did you go to all the board meetings?
I believe I did.
And all the committee meetings?
All that were appropriate for me.
Okay. And William J. Bell?
Yes, yes.
And Robert S. Lamley?
Yes.
Oh, this is good. Sheila? Sheila Mahoney?
Yes, and yes.
Thomas C. Dolan isn't here, is he? Yeah. Patrick F. Dolan, did you go to all your board meetings?
I believe I may have missed one.
One or two? And John Tata?
Best of my memory, I attended every meeting.
I'm glad you're feeling so much better, Mr. Tata.
I'll be all sick.
The year before last year's annual meeting, you were sick. Daniel E. Somers?
Yes.
Did you go to all the board meetings after you? Mm-hmm. And Charlie Ferris?
Yes, yes.
And Richard Hockman?
Yes, I attended all the meetings.
This is good. Victor Orstano?
Yes, and yes.
Okay. And Vincent Teese?
Yes, yes.
Now this is good. Why don't you say that in the annual report instead of that thing that covers everything up and says 97%? I think that you should have their names and what meetings they attended, what meetings they missed, instead of trying to get by with that cover-up. That's my point. Who is the 14th director? You've already answered that. I would like to go to the next board meeting. May I? What?
Board meetings are not open to shareholders.
Well, I can't go to a board meeting because a board meeting is not open to shareholders. I solicit the nomination of any shareholder here as director next year. Is there still a Cablevision hate page on the internet?
Not one wanted by us.
Now, are you trying to murder public access, James?
Not that I'm aware of, Glendora.
Okay. All right, James. You promised our last annual meeting that you would do something about the situation of the old TCI system in Westchester, where 20 municipalities do not get system-wide public access, and a chat with Glendora has not been seen or heard there since May the 1st, 1996. Will you please do something about that, Mr. Dolan?
We are moving as quickly as we can on all upgrades.
Okay.
See if I can get them done any quicker. I certainly do it.
But you see, Mr. Dolan, that's a great infringement of free speech, which cannot be compensated for?
Competition.
Oh. Doesn't a shareholder, Mr. Dolan, have the right to see the books, records, and minutes?
I have to defer that one to Mr. Lemley. Requested in accordance with the applicable law, yes.
And why are you so reluctant to show us the books, minutes, and records? Are you covering anything up that you don't want us to know? Mr. Lemley said, no, we are not. Now, Mr. Dolan, Mr. Lawrence Tisch, when he owned CBS, always had this figure at his fingertips. How much money did this company spend on litigation this year?